after now interviewing sort of close to 15 people, it's really interesting to see different words that people are associating with terms that we're using within the industry. So
yes,
it's essentially sort of one or two word back to me, and we'll just go through them relatively speedily. So what does PropTech mean to you, James? Jim.
Jim James. Yeah, it's an enabler. That's my term.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit. What does innovation mean?
Kaizen.
Okay, we're going to come back on to Kaizen.
Change. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I was Kaizen in the early '90s, James. So.
Yeah, and I almost daren't go into the depths of Kaizen with you because I know we could be here a while. What does the term customer mean to you?
Customer service.
Okay. And what about competitor?
Rival, but fraternal.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's really been interesting talking to other innovators. It's almost a polar opposite answers, and I actually tend to think a lot of the more forward-thinking innovators in this space are coming up with terms like allies, friends, and you use that sort of frenemies and cooperators to really describe that relationship moving forward, which is
I do think we're a unique industry, James. Just to comment, I mean, we are very, very collaborative, and for young leaders coming into the space, you need to get plugged into the network. It's just people help one another so openly, and that that's just a hallmark. You don't see that in financial services. You don't see that in banking. You don't see that in other sectors. So that's just a commentary just on our and again, it's anyway, it's been a long-standing kind of culture of our community.
Do you know, I know what you mean. I mean, you and I met at RealCom this year, and I've had the great fortune of traveling all around the world, similar to you, at all these different conferences. And I would say that the US collaborative nature amongst those, what I would call a digital guru, the innovators, the technologists, is actually greater in America than anywhere else, with one exception perhaps, which is Australia.
That's true. I knowing Australia and the team and the groups there, that's a good observation. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
down there, which are very collaborative. I don't see that in many other countries that I have the great fortune of visiting and talking to people like you out there. It just seems a little bit more protective, which needs to change in my view. But again, part of the reason for this sort of series.
Yeah.
I know. So 3 things which I think you're pretty keen on. So first and foremost, strategy. What does strategy mean?
So strategy is this execution.
Values,
core, foundational.
And a great love of yours, I know, data,
differentiator.
Oh, I like that. Differentiator in what sense? In the
it's a competitive advantage. It's a competitive advantage if you are able to execute, build capacity, build depth, and execute on a data strategy. It differentiates your platform. 100%. No doubt about it. So
I'm going to pick up on that in a little bit because I know you've got some really interesting insights around data. So that's cool. Last 2 really. Culture. What does culture mean to you?
Culture's excellence.
And lastly, ESG.
ESG, decarbonization. It's
which I know you guys have been on a big journey with Ben on that. Okay, thank you for that. That's a great insight, and I quite like all of that because you can sort of spark off of different words that people are using to really sort of deep dive into something.